Good morning. It's Sunday, September 22nd. I'm meteorologist Bill Murray. This is your AlabamaWX weather briefing. And we got a lot to talk about today, especially as it regards to the tropics in the Western Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, how that may impact our forecast. But first, today's the first day of fall, at least at 7:44 a.m. Central Daylight Time this morning. At that point, the sun will be directly above the equator, and we will have equal parts day and night all over the globe. So we continue to slide into the sort of longer nights, shorter days, cooler temperatures. But you couldn't tell it outside yesterday, certainly across central Alabama. Temperatures yesterday were well into the 90s. 88 degrees by 11 o'clock in Birmingham, hit 94, just 4 degrees short of the record for the date, and about, I think, 9 degrees above normal. I'd have to go back and check, but I think the average high may have been 84, so probably 10 degrees above normal. I know the average morning low is 64, so maybe it was 85 for the afternoon high, the normal high. But we hit 94 in Birmingham. Most locations across central Alabama were between 92 and 94. And it's going to be another warm one today. Now, looking across the country, some signs of fall and winter certainly out there. We've got some interesting conditions this morning across a good bit of the northwestern quarter of the United States. We got frost advisories there in North Dakota, South Dakota, northeastern Wyoming, the northern part of Idaho, western Montana. We've got a freeze warning in northeastern Washington, some frost advisories in southern Oregon, northeast California, and probably of most interest, these winter weather advisories in parts of the Colorado Rockies, parts of Rocky Mountain National Park, the Medicine Bow Range, the mountains of Summit County, the Mosquito Range, and the Indian Peaks, especially above 10,000 feet, and generally south of I-70, some of the mountain passes experiencing problems. We got lots of coastal flood advisories as I record this tonight just before midnight for parts of the Chesapeake Bay. Had lots of stormy conditions there into the mid-Atlantic and even the northeastern coast of the United States. You notice here an area of interest coming out of the northwestern Caribbean. We're going to be talking about that extensively as we get into it. Here's the tropical weather outlook from the National Hurricane Center. Our disturbance, which is really not a disturbance yet. This is the Central American Gyre. But consensus forecast information from the modeling beginning to indicate that the Central American Gyre will be spinning up, and it probably will spin up a tropical cyclone and spit it north into the Gulf of Mexico as we go into the early part of the week. The Hurricane Center upgraded the possibility of that to 70% Saturday night, and I think that's only going to continue. A couple of other areas out there of interest. 96L is an area of low pressure located about 700 miles southeast of Bermuda, and that's been an interesting little disturbance today. Really had a pretty good presentation on satellite imagery, and kind of thought it might actually be becoming a tropical cyclone, but the Hurricane Center not as bullish on that. They do have a 40% development chance assigned to a tropical wave that is going to be coming off of the African coast today and into tomorrow, and there's going to be some gradual development of that system. But the system that concerns us most does not have an invest associated with it at this point. But this is the satellite imagery late on this Saturday evening over the western Caribbean, and you can see a good bit of thunderstorm activity there. Beginning to see some element of circulation here, and this is where this Central American gyre will be kicking in over the next couple of days, and it does. That's going to spell problems for the Gulf of Mexico and parts of the Gulf Coast. At least ostensibly, that's what we think is going to happen. Upper pattern across North America on this Sunday morning shows a broad ridge there from the Texas coast, anticyclone there from southwestern Louisiana back all along the Texas coast. It extends northeastward through the Tennessee Valley, the Ohio Valley, into the Great Lakes. Strong low pressure there off the east coast. Got a progressive trough moving through the Rockies, producing those wintry conditions in central Colorado. That trough will continue to push east and a little bit southeast, and this system over central Canada and this system over western Canada are going to sort of collude to produce a pretty big upper trough there over the southern part of the United States, and that's where we'll run into some trouble. You see that system diving out of western Canada. Begins to phase with the system there over the plain states in the Midwest. The little ridge hangs on there over the southeastern coast. You can see that upper level system drops south through Missouri as we get into Wednesday. And looky there, coming out of the northwestern Caribbean in a very unfortunate area of the ocean, coming into the southern Gulf of Mexico there, and linking up with that trough will be our potential tropical cyclone. It could turn to the northeast. This is what the GFS thinks, bringing it into the Florida Big Bend area there by Thursday night into Friday, and then sort of rotating around that system and then moving into the Virginia, western North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia area by next weekend. That big upper low will be sort of sitting over us. And if this solution is right, that means we'll be moving into an extended period of cooler and slightly showery conditions. Got upper high pressure there, though, as you see, by next weekend moving into the week 2 voodoo period over the southeastern Gulf of Mexico through South Florida into the Bahamas. Then as we go further out into the voodoo period, week 2, we see potentially another system that has shown up on recent runs of the GFS. And, of course, this is just one model run and one possibility, but we could be dealing with another system, possibly in the eastern Gulf of Mexico, out toward the end of the period there on October the 6th. Now, this is the GFS. That's our model of choice for this solution. We're going to look at a lot of different solutions because the impacts of whatever develops in the Caribbean and moves into the Gulf could play a role in our weather and the role of the weather along the beautiful beaches of Alabama and northwest Florida as we go through the period. That trough over the Rockies, moving out onto the plains today, triggering this boundary from the Great Lakes back through Missouri into Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle. As we go through the day today, we're dry here in Alabama. It's going to be hot, mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies through the day. High temperatures topping out in the lower to middle 90s. Heat index values are going to be up there. So if you're going to be out and about today, take it easy. Kind of get lulled into a little false sense of complacency here as we get into, thinking it's fall and it's still feeling like summer. As we get into Monday, the little ridge of high pressure is kind of holding on tenaciously over the deep south. We see the activity beginning to develop there in the western Caribbean, the front to our north, showers and thunderstorms likely from central Tennessee. Back through western Kentucky into the Missouri Boot Hill and southwestward back into North Texas. High temperatures on Monday will still be in the lower 90s across north and central Alabama. Another hot day with few, if any, in the way of showers or thunderstorms, maybe an isolated shower late in the day over the Tennessee Valley. Now we move forward into Tuesday. That trough is progressing to the east. It helps push that front a little further south, but still can't quite make it into Alabama on Tuesday, most likely. A few showers begin to break out, possibly even in the morning hours over northeastern sections if this solution is right. But as we go through the day, showers and thunderstorms begin to increase over the Tennessee Valley of North Alabama. And as we get into Wednesday, we see showers and thunderstorms really becoming likely. Now, by that time, moving through the Yucatan Channel, we have a 992 millibar probably tropical storm. And rainfall is increasing over Alabama, not in relation to the tropical cyclone, but just from that frontal system in that trough. Now, we get into early Thursday. The system is now to the west of the Keys, turning to the north. The central pressure has dropped, and we've got a little bit more formidable storm. We'll go back and look at what the the winds might look like at that point. But you see an intensifying tropical cyclone through the day on Thursday. The boundary lying across Alabama means more showers and thunderstorms, and the system would be approaching the Florida Big Bend area here by Thursday night. Of course, we'd be starting to get into some gusty winds. We'll look at those impacts in just a minute. By Friday, the system is moving through South Georgia, into South Carolina, and into North Carolina by Friday night. The rain is lifting off to the northeast with it as it does. Now, let's go back and kind of take a look at things a little more closely. Wednesday, we've got those showers and storms over Alabama. What will the wind situation be like at that point? Looks like the system is not still very strong by Wednesday afternoon, probably 55 miles per hour, strengthening through the night, 65 miles an hour, some fairly rapid intensification, becoming a hurricane there late Wednesday night. But not really getting its act any more organized. You begin to look, what's happening. But by Thursday, it's an 85 mile per hour hurricane, hovering around 80 to 85 miles an hour, possibly approaching 90 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour. Thursday night as it moves into the Big Bend. So, we kind of go back and look at what, sort of what the upper wind pattern is looking like that time to see if we sort of believe what we see here, and we'll go to 250, we'll go to 250 millibars up there well into the atmosphere. And, what are we seeing here? Do we see divergence aloft? Yes, I kind of think we do. Kind of hard to see exactly what's going on there, but the front is to the north with most of the wind shear. As the system lifts to the north, it's pretty free of wind shear, folks, and it may hold together if that's true. Not a true upper-level anticyclone over the Gulf of Mexico. That's evident here over Cuba and the Bahamas, the Western Caribbean, but not, certainly conditions are not unconducive for the development of a tropical cyclone at that point. Kind of looking at what the wind gusts might look like over Alabama. This is Thursday. We're starting to see wind gusts, probably on Thursday. We're starting to see wind gusts that are in the 20 to 25 miles per hour range. Sustained winds only, about 8 to 15. But as we get, into Friday, they'll increase a little bit further. But we're going to be on the better side of this thing. You see those gusts, they could be quite strong, well over 100 miles per hour in the Florida Big Bend area up into southern Georgia. Here in Alabama, those wind gusts are going to be about 20 to 25 miles an hour, so not too terrible for us. Let's take a look at some precipitation amounts, what those are going to, start to look like. And we use sort of a 5-day fix here. Let's go out. This is Friday the 27th. As we go through the day on Friday, we pretty much have gotten most of the impact of the tropical cyclone at that point. Rainfall amounts 2 inches over the northeastern quarter of Alabama, lesser amounts to the south and southwest. So rainfall may not be not super substantial from this system. We'll kind of see how that works out. But doesn't look like it's going to produce tremendous rainfall for Alabama. Now, going out, past the cyclone here, we got that upper low, a little bit of surface low through the weekend, a few scattered showers around. Looks like that's going to be the pattern. It'll be much cooler, high temperatures in the 70s, overnight lows probably in the 60s. We'll look at that in just a minute. Here comes our second system, crossing western Cuba by Friday the 4th, passing west of Key West, and perhaps ending up there near the west coast of the west coast of Florida, perhaps in the Tampa area. Looks like it would at that point probably be somewhere around a 90 to 100 mile per hour hurricane. I could buy that solution. Now, here are temperatures today off the national blend of models for your Sunday. You're going to see mostly lower and middle 90s. Coleman might stay in the upper 80s. Slightly cooler tomorrow, maybe a degree or two, not much. Get into Tuesday, again, tiny bit cooler. And then Wednesday we start to see it, really start to cool down because we've got more clouds and showers. Tennessee Valley doesn't get out of the lower 80s. North central Alabama, though, still warm, 87 to 88. I was calling for 87 on Wednesday. You might still see 90 down around Montgomery. As you get into Thursday, though, with the presence of that tropical system, temperatures generally in the lower 80s across the area. And then Friday, even cooler, 70s and low 80s. And a little bit warmer on Saturdays. We get more sunshine. But you get the general idea as we go into the week. As we go into the week 2 period, that things are going to be cooler. And that's what the National Blend of Models, that's what our little graph shows here, a meteogram showing 92 for your Sunday, 91 for your Monday and Tuesday, falling off after that. And then that's going to be quite nice. Upper 70s, overnight lows in the middle 60s as we get into that week 2 period. And here are those GFS precipitation amounts through the 168 hours, carries us through next Sunday. And it looks like northeast Alabama will kind of be the big winner in the rainfall department. Of course, now if our tropical cyclone develops, it's probably going to be Helene. I think it wins the race. The systems out in the Atlantic don't seem to have as high a probability of development, but it looks like it'll be Helene. Of course, our friends along the beautiful beaches of Alabama, Northwest Florida, are going to be watching this very carefully. There's quite a bit of difference in the models. The European is weaker, further to the west. Put a lot of stock in what I see on the GFS there, but it's certainly not something that we can put all of our chips in on. Everyone really, from southeastern Louisiana over to the Florida Panhandle, going to have to keep a very, very close eye on this. Don't think it's going to be a really destructive hurricane, but we've seen crazier things happen, in October. Just have to go back to Hurricane Michael in 2018. I'm not saying it's going to be Michael, but we have to be prepared for all possibilities, to have plenty of time to watch it. Looks like it's going to be impactful Thursday, Friday. For places like Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, over to Pensacola Beach, Navarre, Fort Walton, Destin, in that area, rip currents are certainly going to be a problem. Surf will be increasing. Rain and thunderstorms will be, picking up as well. I'd worry a little more we get over toward Rosemary, 30A, the Panama City Beaches area, Mexico Beach. But it really kind of looks to me like right now that it may be more that Florida Big Bend area, all those places like Steinhatchee, that are all too familiar from this year and last, all the way back to Adalia. This year they dealt with Debbie, and looks like they may deal again with another storm. Weather Brains, the weekly netcast. It's all about weather. We're going to be talking to the folks from the Central Indiana Severe Weather Awareness Symposium, or I guess it's Severe Weather Symposium. It'll be coming up in a couple of weeks. And they've got an interesting agenda. We're going to talk to some of the meteorologists behind that and talk about some of the subjects that they'll be covering in detail. And as always, we'll learn a lot. Get that podcast Tuesday morning wherever you get your podcast. You can watch it live Monday night over the air on the .2 channel from ABC 3340, or you can watch it at youtube.com/weatherbrains. Well, that's your weather video for this Sunday. I'll have notes on the blog, updates on the tropics through the day. We'll switch out the forecast at noon if anything needs to be changed, and have a complete update at that point. Of course, we'll be going into sort of tropical mode over the next 7 days as we watch this system coming out of the Caribbean into the Gulf. And you can kind of count on frequent updates throughout the week. Congratulations, Scott Brown joined us over night tonight, Saturday night. He's going to be writing for the blog some. He's a recent graduate of Mississippi State University, a master's student over there. And we're glad to have him joining us here on the team at AlabamaWX. Of course, James will be back 2 days tomorrow. I'll be back next Sunday. Scott will be back. Scott Martin, valued team member, will be back next Saturday. And until I get the chance to see you then, as I always tell you, keep an eye to the sky, because you'll always have something fun to look at.